Hello, I am Patricia Tellini, resident stage manager for the Wilma Theater. Today is December the 1st. It is World AIDS Day. It is Giving Tuesday. Today is also opening day for the Wilma Theater's site specific production of Heroes of the Fourth Turning, written by Will Arbery, directed by Blanca Ziska. Wow, it's even cool to say a site specific production. We are artists. And in a time like this, figuring out ways to continue our craft has been a bit challenging, but we did come up with something. And so today we offer Heroes of the Fourth Turning for everyone to see. We hope that you enjoy it. We hope that it will help you understand how much we love what we do. We also hope you understand that we need help. Giving Tuesday. So if you can, if it's at all possible, if you can contribute to the Wilma Theater, that would be an amazing thing. Heroes will stream from today, December 1st, through December 13th. And as an added bonus, some of the cast got together with Lee Etzold, our portable studio director, and had a conversation about now and some of the difficult conversations we must have in order for us to make it through this pandemic. We offer that to you as well. We hope that you will continue to support us, that you will join us in our efforts to stay viable. Again, Heroes of the Fourth Turning, streaming through the Wilma Theater, December 1st through December 13th. Thank you, and please enjoy the conversation.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Leanne Etzold. I'm the director of the Wilma Theater's Portable Studio program. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a white woman with long brown hair wearing a turquoise shirt with an oatmeal colored cardigan. And I'm sitting in front of a light blue curtain in my home that sits on the unceded land of the Lenni Lenape people. I am so thankful to be here. We're talking to the cast of the Wilma productions of Heroes of the Fourth Turning by Will Arbery. We're going to chat a little bit about the play, but a lot about something I've been curious about for years now, strategies for navigating difficult conversations. I'm acknowledging we are all on this journey together. None of us are experts, except in our own experience, and that's what we're going to share today. So hello, cast. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Would you please introduce yourselves, and also please tell us your characters' names in the play?
Great. I will go first. So my name is MB Scallon. It's short for Mary Beth, but I go by MB. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am also a white lady, middle-aged. I have short brown hair. I am in my little office in my home, which is on the top story, and it's bright purple. I'm sitting right next to a window, which is really lovely. And in the play, I play the professor and president of this very conservative Catholic college, whose name is Gina.
I'm Campbell O'Hare. I use she, her pronouns. I play Emily in Heroes of the Fourth Turning. Gina's, well, that's where you are on my screen, MB. I'm Gina's daughter, and I'm friends with Justin and Kevin down there. I'm also a white lady, long, light brown hair. I'm in my office. I have a spooky forest backdrop that I've been using through the whole pandemic. And I also have a sweet window view. Yeah.
My name is Justin Jane. My pronouns are he, him, his. I play Kevin in Heroes of the Fourth Turning, and it's confusing because there's a character named Justin. So my name is Justin, and I play Kevin. I am a Filipinx 30-something-year-old man with black hair, cinnamon colored skin, beautiful almond eyes, and a smile that will light up a room.
Ah!
I'm not usually that confident in person, but I'm sitting in a living room slash office slash dining area slash Zoom happy hour area. It's a very busy background behind me, but I do play Kevin. Jared?
My name is Jared McLennigan. I play, my pronouns are he, him. I play Justin in the play, not to be confused with Justin Jane. I am a 40-something white man with a beard and glasses and a gray and green shirt on. I'm sitting in my office in my home in South Philadelphia. Over one shoulder is a painting by a friend named Ray Spiller entitled The Light at the End of the Tunnel that often generates lots of conversation in these types of Zoom meetings. And over my other shoulder is a collection of recorders in jars, like everybody has in their homes, right? You just have like flutes and recorders in jars on a shelf. That's where I keep mine. Where do you keep your recorder?
That's a whole
I
other
like you all.
conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here. We are here because this play has received a lot of attention because of the way the characters have been written. For those of you who may not know much, I encourage you to go to the Wilma website to learn more about the play itself. But the characters themselves are relatively conservative compared to a lot of the stories and perhaps a lot of the content that we see at the Wilma Theater. The New York Times wrote that the astonishing new play explores the lives and ideas of conservatives with affection, understanding, and deep knowledge, if not ultimately approval. So since much of the Wilma's work is less than conservative, as actors, this puts you in a pretty unique situation. You've all steeped yourselves in these characters for a long period of time, actually lived in their shoes for almost over a month. And I'm curious if any of you can talk about how that experience has influenced how you've interacted with those who have presumably, you can tell me if it's wrong, different views from you. I don't know if all of you agree that these characters have different political views than you. You can tell me yes or no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to make any assumptions, but that's a safe assessment. Okay.
Yes.
So living in their shoes for so long, how has that influenced any conversations or interactions you may have had or may anticipate having with people who have different views than you?
One of the things that I love that Will says about this play is that it's an invitation for more mystery and an invitation for more listening. And when you engage with the play as an audience member or as a reader, you start to learn that maybe the things they're saying aren't that different from the things that I say and the things that I believe. It just comes from a different moral compass and a different place of ethical values and religious beliefs. And so this has definitely helped me listen to some of the things that I hear on the news or see a viewpoint and pause for just a second and say, am I listening here? Are they actually saying the same thing that I'm saying? Do they believe the same things that I believe? And then that helps me point and look to a system or something larger than the two of us that's pitted us against each other. And I think I'll be moving forward with this when I'm interacting with my very conservative family, which is very exciting.
Yeah,
I want to pick up on something that Justin just said. The idea that there is a complete and logical system behind some of these beliefs is somewhat of a new idea to me. I was raised in a very conservative family, but as soon as I went to college, I ran all the way to the left. And what I forgot along the way was that for my parents and other conservatives that I know, their beliefs come out of this very tidy and thought through system that surrounds them every single day. So their beliefs are part of something much larger. And I really appreciate what Justin just said, because it was so easy for me to, in a discussion, a disagreement, to assume that that person was all I was dealing with. And I think what you said is exactly right. Being able to step back and go, let me look at the larger context in which they live and how that context might be influencing what they're saying in the moment. And it's really, really helped me just slow down, not be so combative, and try to understand instead of convert or debate.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand the context has been really, really helpful.
It makes me think of, yeah, go ahead, Jared.
No, you go.
It makes me think of a conversation that happens between Justin's character Kevin and MB's character Gina in the play, where Kevin says to Gina, you don't want new conclusions. You want different poetry to get us to the same conclusion. And I find myself sometimes, because I also come from a really conservative Catholic family, sometimes I find myself entering into conversations just headed for proof that I'm correct and headed for a win, or and just I had this thought the other day about this idea of assuming good intent or assuming bad intent of others. And I just had this idea because I've wrestled with that. Because with family, I tend to assume good intent, even when we're having a really difficult discussion, just because I know and love them. And then when I'm talking to a stranger, I just assume bad intent sometimes. And then I had this thought that was like, what if I just assume less? Assume less intent. And then if I'm going to enter the conversation, I have to have the energy to just find out the answer. Just find out the truth instead of assuming something and then heading toward that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, it's like I agree so much with what everybody's saying. It's so much about listening. And when I think about, like living in the character Justin's shoes, I think probably has helped me, and I would hope would help me to listen a bit more, and try to understand a bit more. I mean, like when I think about having these conversations, difficult conversations, like say with a relative who's a Trump supporter, who I'm not a Trump supporter, and when I think about engaging in those conversations, it feels very much like I guess it feels like a battle that I need to win. I need to prove this point. But if I step back and actually approach it from a place of listening and trying to understand their perspective instead of trying to impose my perspective upon them and prove that my point is the right point, trying to engage in conversation and actually listen and understand a bit more. I think that's what doing this play has helped me to sort of realize.
And I want to throw in one more thing about that. It makes me remember that in the play there are two very different ways of listening. So a couple of the characters are excellent debaters, and they're listening just to find the next cue to speak. They're listening for buzzwords, for things they can grab onto to prove their points. But then there are a couple of characters, and I think Kevin might be one of them, who listen to understand and to try to compare what the other person is saying to the truth they find inside themselves, and where are places where those truths come together and where are places where they don't. And that is a really different way of listening. And I sometimes find myself listening like a debater and not like someone who is open to a new idea.
Yes. MB, you also wrote a blog for the Wilma around this show it's very beautifully laid out, almost like a poem. And in it, you said, how can I listen when there is so much to protect? And it made me think about these dichotomies you're talking about, that there is listening to convince and to protect something. There's also listening to understand. There's debate. There's dialogue. There are all these dichotomies, and there is something, I think, for a lot of people to protect that that can sometimes require a sacrifice of a certain amount of ease in the conversation. And I'm curious about strategies. I heard Campbell also say that you need to be ready for this conversation. You need to know how to take care of yourself in a conversation like this. But also, I'm curious how you navigate how much you need to protect something that you do believe in while also listening to others.
I'm going to share this. So I've been doing this conflict resolution training, and my compatriots here have heard me talk about this already, but in it, they give you a really simple acronym, and this is mainly for conflict resolution as a teacher to student. So they say if you're entering a difficult conversation or a moment of tension or anything that resembles a crisis, that you have this acronym called REACT. And the R stands for role or relationship. So I have to check, what is my role here? I'm a teacher and this is a student. But it also permeates to like relationship. Are we coworkers here? Are we mother and son? Are we best friends? That will help shape everything that follows, which is the E is empathize. If you've been through it, tell them, I've been a student before, or I'm feeling frustrated as well as you are, or I'm having trouble with the project just as much as you are. Then the A is acknowledge or agree. So just affirm. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to immediately like say stop. Let's affirm what's happening here. I want to affirm your feelings and I want to affirm mine. And then the C is careful communication. How can you carefully start to communicate from a way of trying to be heard rather than trying to change? And then the T is time. Just give it time. You step away.
Yeah.
You have to say, this is part of communicating, is that we both need a chance to disengage and to process, and then come back. And then maybe it won't be a react that you have to do next time, but just an engaging with each other. And I found that really helpful in how to assess how deep I'm going to go into a conversation in the moment. To go, oh, right, we both have a different job here. Our role is different. We're not here to battle each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. I want to write that down. I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's really
Put
good.
that somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I so often will just like I'm not I don't engage with conflict well, or like perceived conflict. Like if I think that there is going to be a hard conversation, I will not engage with that conversation instead of like dealing with it, because I have a thing with conflict, I suppose. But like, I don't know. This is giving me like lots of tools already to help navigate these types of conversations.
And there's
That was
something in
making-
what you're talking about too, Justin. Oh, sorry, Campbell. There's something in what you're saying about remembering that the other person is a separate entity with their own truth from me. So, for example, when I'm encountering my parents who are very conservative, I find it's really easy to slip back into the role of child parent, where they have all the power. I'm supposed to adhere to what they're saying, conform to what they're saying. That was a big pressure in my house of origin, my family of origin. But now as an adult, to remind myself, I have my own reality. I am separate and complete. They have their reality. They are separate and complete. And these two things can coexist. And I don't have to make myself them, and I don't have to make them me. And that's hard for me to hang on to, but it really helps me when I can. And that's captured in that REACT list that you just talked about.
There's also a person on Instagram who I started following, Jen Winston, she goes by @generosity. She put out a toolbook, a toolkit that is helpful for calling our loved ones in And that is hard. That's the difficult conversation, right? To then, once you get past that point where, okay, you are you, I am me, but can we start to come together and learn? And especially with trying to undo racism in the world and also within our families, that's very complicated. And it is, I'm reminded of what Justin mentioned, that it's time. It does take time. And what they advise is planting a seed and knowing that you're not going to do it all at once, but that if there is a moment to plant a seed of doubt or seed of another opportunity, another idea, that could be towards a pathway towards reconciliation in some way. That reconciliation doesn't necessarily have to be separate.
Yeah.
And that's also hard. That's also really hard to do. And I think one of the things that in my looking around, some people will say you have to keep asking why until you whittle it down to the essential, that it's usually because of racism or it's usually because of some kind of bigotry. And then other people will say that the why questions will put people too much on the defensive and they will stop listening. And so, again, the dance begins. And I'm just curious on any of your takes or experiences with that. I'm really digging in. I also grew up in a very conservative family, so I'm I promise.
I want to make sure I don't cut Campbell off this time
No,
because you look
please,
like
no,
you have something to
still,
say.
I'm still processing. Go ahead.
The thing that I've been hanging on to, because I've been thinking a lot about the why question too. And for me, whenever I ask why, it comes with a ton of baggage. My rage, my disbelief, my fear. So I've been trying to ask how. And this makes sense to me. I don't know if it'll make sense to anybody else, but this idea of, okay, Mom, so you feel this way about this particular segment of society. How did you come to think that? Did you have formative experiences? Did you encounter a philosophy when you were younger? And sometimes I can get her talking about the development of one of her rooted ideas almost before she realizes what she's doing, and I learn something. I don't know if I make any headway in changing it, but at least I start to see where it came from. And that's helpful, I guess. It helps me stay more open to her longer, I think. But I don't want to make it sound like I'm virtuous and she's not. I've got tons of rooted ideas and tons of things I carry around that I'm not even aware of, and I try to do the same thing to myself.
Right.
You know, how did I make this series of assumptions? When did it begin? When do I first remember thinking of this thing?
I think the other obstacle we're up against is being in a pandemic, and that a lot of these conversations are now going to be happening this way as opposed to in person. And I'm curious how you all have been handling being on the Zoom or the video chatting.
Justin.
not handling it. I mean, I've been spending in the last few weeks, or rather since the beginning of Heroes, and then we had 3 weeks away, but I teach, I am in shows, and I am in like all kinds of meetings between those two things. So every day I'm spending about around 8 hours of straight Zoom. So people say they're at the computer 8 hours, but that actually means they're in a Zoom conference for 2 hours and then they're typing and stuff. I don't have that luxury. I'm actually here, and usually in these rooms I'm the leader, so I'm the director or the teacher. So I haven't been handling it, if I'm being honest. Like, I turn this off and I'm in a complete depression and completely like melted state, and when I should be spending time with my kid, I'm passed out on the couch. So it's not I think anybody that has an answer to that out there, please let me know. other than like quit your jobs, but that's not a reality. And yeah, I do the other things. I go outside, I exercise, I like hug my dog and husband and daughter, but it's like, no, actually that goes only so far. So that's my answer to that. That lovely question.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm not. Like I said, I have a hard time engaging with these types of conversations in the first place in person, and Zoom certainly hasn't helped that. I mean, if anything, it's made those like the family Zooms and stuff even I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess even a bit more surface
mm,
oriented. Just like, how are you? What are you doing? How are they? And like literally just watching my nieces and nephews play. Um, that's what, yeah, like I don't think any of the Zooms that I've done with like family have even like approached anywhere near like having any type of a, you know, conversation with depth and nuance to it.
yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the conversations can happen over social media, um, and that's tricky.
Yeah, I feel like especially now, it just feels like because we spend so much time looking at our phones and that's where everything is happening, or looking at the computer, things are getting boiled down even more so that like like a person's one post, that's the thing we have to go off of. And because we've got this is all we're doing right now, it feels like we must respond and take it at face value. And I think that, I get really nerviosa about this because I've had some in talking about in having the hard conversations and in talking about having the hard conversations, I've received some pushback being like, it's a privilege that you even have the space and energy to engage in these conversations. I'm like, yeah, totally. Um, and I just want to acknowledge that I feel like my white privilege and my access to a lot of conservative people, my like ability to empathize has everything to do with the fact that like the stakes are a little bit lower for me. And that I feel and that it's because it's mostly family or like friends that I grew up with, I feel a certain amount of safety inside of those conversations. Like sometimes for me, the biggest thing that feels at risk in those conversations is just the safety of my own comfort and like blood pressure in that moment. Um, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that one, but
No, you
yeah,
went
that's
all the
that.
Thank you for sharing that. We do have to start wrapping up, and I want to invite you all to share, if you would, a word or a phrase that you are able to take away from this conversation. Anyone can chime in.
The word for me would just be listening.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, empathy. Um, I think a lot when I think about this stuff. Like I think about when I was in my 20s, I was a really big fan of the comedian Bill Hicks and the late great Bill Hicks, and he talked about how with everything that we do in life, you can essentially boil it down to one of two choices. You can approach something from a place of love, or you can approach something from a place of fear.
Mm.
That every decision we make, we essentially can boil down to those two things, um, and uh, and so it's trying, and that's kind of how I try to live my life is from a place of love, a place of openness, as opposed to closing it off.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think of Mother Teresa saying we belong to each other. And the idea of belonging to each other, and then that makes me feel like that motion that you just did, Jared, like it makes me feel like doing like this instead of doing like this, and instead of going to war, trying to bring people along.
Similar to Jared and Campbell, it's yeah, receive more and try to change less.
Mm.
Thank you all so much. We're going to be asking the audience too to give us their advice. We will be crowdsourcing some advice to hopefully get us through the holiday season and maybe into 2021 and maybe into eventually being in the same room together, which would be such a joy.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank you all so very much for joining us. And I'll let everybody know that the Wilma Theater's production of Heroes of the Fourth Turning by Will Arbery will be streaming until December 13th. So please check out all of the work of these fine artists there. And I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun and really helpful.
Yes,
I
thank
found
you.
it very helpful too. Yes.
I'm really looking forward to the audience's comments and suggestions.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please bring them on, please.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm excited. Oh, thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Be safe and have great holidays.
Thanks.
You
Love
too.
y'all.
I'll be in touch.
Bye. Great. Bye.
Hi there. Thank you for joining us at the Wilma Theater. My name is Rachel O'Hanlon Rodriguez. I am the program coordinator of the Wilma's Portable Studio program. I'm also a teaching artist of the Wilmagination Education program. Not only has the Wilma been able to produce shows, but we've been hard at work continuing to partner with schools and stay connected to our community members. At the Portable Studio, we have facilitated community conversations, crowdsourced poetry, collected 1,000 cranes for Philadelphia, all through our online platforms and sometimes even good old-fashioned phone calls. But none of the work that we do is possible without the generous support of folks like you. You can support the Wilma's artistic, education, and community outreach programs by clicking the link below this video. No gift is too small to make a big difference here at the Wilma. Thank you and enjoy.